Hello and welcome to Council Wrap. I'm Wes Decker, joined by Chris Siemerling, who is the Economic Development Specialist for the City of Hagerstown. Chris, thanks for being on Council Wrap. It's been a little while since we had a chance to talk.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Lots of exciting things going on in the city, obviously, and there's some money out there for those who perhaps would like to make more exciting things happen in the city of Hagerstown. You had a couple of items that you presented to Mayor and Council during the meeting earlier, and the first of those two was the Invest Hagerstown FY25 funding levels, and there wasn't a whole lot in terms of getting below the surface on that. So I think my strategy in this is to refresh people's memories on what those programs are and how much they are being funded, how much money is available within those grant programs.
Sure. So our Invest Hagerstown program as a whole consists of 5 sub-programs. And for the current FY25 fiscal year starting July 1, we're looking at a total of $975,000 as a total pot of money that's going to be split between those programs. Out of those different sub-programs, I'll go ahead and start from the reverse about what they are and what they do really. So the first one is our Commercial Sign and Facade Grant Program. As the name implies, it's for any kind of commercial signage and facade improvements. For this one, it's currently restricted to the Main Street district of our downtown for the mixed-use properties or commercial. So any kind of commercial mixed-use properties for that one. It's up to $7,500 for the facade improvements and up to $1,500 for the signage for the business itself, for example.
Okay.
The next one that we have is called our Hagerstown Home Ownership Initiative, HHI. It's a down payment assistance program. So especially first-time home buyers or someone looking to purchase a home within city limits can utilize those funding in addition to any other down payment assistance programs that might be out there, such as the Hagerstown Home Store or Maryland Mortgage Program, so that they can get into those homes.
Is that restricted to first-time home buyers?
It's not restricted to first-time home buyers, but they do have a priority. First-time home buyers and current renters, as well as vacant properties currently, are viewed as a higher priority than someone who's buying their second or third home, for example.
Gotcha.
And one thing to note as well is that it's for existing buildings, not new builds for new homes as well. The next program that we have under this program is called the Rental Rehabilitation Grant. Specifically, this allows a landlord to bring their rental units up to either current code or more modern amenities, which increases the quality of life for the tenants. Some examples for renovations for that could be your traditional flooring, painting, electrical upgrades, plumbing upgrades, HVAC, sprinkler needing to be added, any kind of general upgrades to the rental units themselves.
Is this the one that during the meeting was talked about as being one that could ultimately help renters in that it would help the landlord defray some of those costs so he wouldn't have to pass them along to the tenants?
Potentially, correct.
Okay.
So just like with any kind of renovation that takes place, those expenses have to be covered in some way.
Sure.
Traditionally, a landlord takes those higher renovation costs and wraps that into the rent moving forward, so recoup their investment.
Right.
This grant allows that to be deferred with part of our city money, so that benefit can then be passed through to the tenant.
Okay. And we have, what, 2 other ones?
Yes. Our next grant program that we have is called our City-Wide Redevelopment Grant.
Okay.
As the name implies, it's for any property within the city-wide as a whole, or corporate boundaries, that's either a commercial or mixed-use building. It's great for smaller renovation projects as well as a business tenant fit-out project that might be in mind. Similar to our rental rehab grants, it's going to be hard cost renovations. So any kind of, once again, flooring, painting, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, different things along those lines as examples, building out of shelves, things like that. And then the next big project that we have is called our City Center Redevelopment Grant. As the name implies, it's for the city center, the downtown area of the city. It's what we refer to as our big grant, between $150,000 and $250,000, 2-1 match. This is for your bigger projects or bigger mixed-use and commercial projects that might be looking at $450,000 to $750,000 plus in renovation costs. And once again, bringing those commercial spaces to at least a shell condition or tenant fit out with that too, in addition to any kind of upper floors renovations, whether it's office spaces or residential units as well.
What's the response been like to these programs in the time that you've been here?
It's been definitely overwhelming at times, especially when we start talking to investors who have either lived in the city for a while or are looking at the city for the first time. Just being able to understand what programs the city has available and, in general, not seeing those programs anywhere else. Taking a look at the different programs that we as a city offer, we are what looks like either the second or third most competitive when it comes to incentive programs across the state.
Wow.
Behind Baltimore currently. So we use these to bring a lot of these either vacant or underutilized properties up to current code, current amenities, so that it enhances the quality of life across the city and that economic viability that we want.
Well, you talked about up top, just mentioned briefly the funding levels, and the discussion was about, or was going to be about, whether those funding levels should be changed in the opinion of the council members. They made no changes. From your corner, are all of those amounts pretty good in your eyes, or did you feel like perhaps they needed some tweaking?
We believe that the funding amounts in our eyes are pretty spot on based off of the different feedback we have received and applications we have received. For example, our city center grant, we allocate about 2 big projects per fiscal year. Citywide redevelopment grant, we're looking at between 7 to 8 projects fully funded or so. Rental rehabilitation grant, we're looking at about 4 in a fiscal year. And the sign and facade, we're looking at about 5. The biggest one probably is the home ownership one, the down payment assistance, where in this coming fiscal year, we're looking at about 22 homeowners we'll be able to assist.
Wow, that seems like a pretty good number. What's the awareness been like as it relates to all of this? Because I know you're trying to get this information out all the time so that people are aware, but as you mentioned, these are opportunities that are exclusive to the city of Hagerstown. So in terms of getting the word out, because one thing that I hate in communications is when someone comes back and says, I didn't know about that. Yet we put it out there everywhere we've been able to. So what's your experience been like with that in terms of getting the word out?
So we are hitting all the markets that we can with this. We are promoting our social media, print materials, website, of course, and especially word of mouth. Word of mouth has definitely been one of the best ways that we can get the information out. Especially in the developer community, for example. And we know that there's always going to be gaps. There's always going to be people who aren't aware of our programs and making sure that we identify those gaps so that we can. So, for example, we have worked with the different lenders in the area to make sure that they are aware of our programs first so that they can then refer that to their clients at the same time. Once again, makes the numbers work a little bit better. Helps provide the lenders confidence that the grantee will have that when they go for any kind of loans that they have available. And on our side of things, make sure that the word is just being spread further than we can in our own department or across the city itself.
Yeah, really maximizing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. And I think based on the response that you've had the last number of years, there aren't a whole lot of people who don't know at this point, that's for sure. The other item that you discussed before Mayor and Council, the grant guidelines for the city center vacant storefront incentive. And you mentioned, I thought it was an interesting word you used, a carrot. You said, this is a carrot because you've got funding of, $200,000 to be awarded in the state community legacy funding. Pretty big number there. How does this program work? Talk about this one a little bit.
Right. So a lot of the storefronts that we are going to be trying to target with these have been ones that have been habitually vacant. They may not meet current codes in order to have a business to go in there readily at any time. For example, there might need to be a bathroom that needs to be put in. It might be down to the walls, so they need to put in their electrical lines, and need to put in drywall, everything along those lines. So those are initially costs that a property owner may have put off because it's quite expensive to do some of these renovations these days. So we're trying to provide that carrot, per se, to get those renovations taken care of with the grant almost kind of guaranteed after they have the award letter committed to them, for example. so they have that money to come back to them once the project is completed to current code. And then it also allows us to market that property for any new business that might be looking and coming in, to know what additional spaces are going to be ready for them to pop up, so they can easily move into those spaces, or just have a nominal amount of tenant fit out that needs to take place.
Yeah, because that's not glamorous work either. I mean, it's not work that just jumps off the page to anyone who might be walking by, because much of it is sort of behind the scenes, but it needs to be done in order to make that property ready for use. So that's money that, as you said, oftentimes it's like, you know, the owner doesn't want to spend that, because it's like, yeah, there are other better uses for this.
Right.
But if they're able to acquire it in this manner, it makes much more of a difference to them. During the meeting, as I was listening, one of the things that was said is, you know, talking about it being up to $50,000. I mean, is that actually a lot of money by today's standards in terms of doing a lot of this work? I know each of these jobs might be individual and might sit on its own, but overall, I don't know. I mean, $50,000 seems like a big number in certain circles, but when it comes to rehabbing something or doing something like this, that doesn't seem like a lot to me.
And overall, it's going to depend on the property, right?
Okay.
There's going to be some properties that are bigger, some are smaller, some of them that need more work to be done, and some that don't
Sure.
need as much. So that grant amount is going to be scaling accordingly.
Yeah.
So it might be a $20,000 project for one space, or it might be $100,000 for another one. But either way, being able to offset those costs, even by a fraction of amount, helps those numbers work a little bit better once again, and allows these developers, these property owners, to essentially get a rebate to do these projects to code.
And how is eligibility and the awarding of these grants, how is that determined?
So we're going to be having a review committee that's going to be reviewing any application that comes in. We have our program guidelines that Mayor and Council just discussed earlier today. We'll have a couple minor revisions for next week when the official vote happens. But that's going to be what we're going to be basing eligibility off of. For an applicant who's going to be looking to put in for the space itself cannot be currently occupied, obviously, because then it's not vacant in this regards. We're going to be reviewing and prioritizing different applications based off of the code infractions that are going to be getting addressed and remediated, proximity to our downtown public square, the overall economic and viability and enhancement will be contributing to our downtown, and just in general reactivating that space for the next tenant user too, which is in turn going to be increasing foot traffic as a result.
What's the timeline on these programs at this point in terms of applications and things of that nature? You know, to give us a little sense of where we stand there.
So we're going to be bringing this back to Mayor and City Council next week for the regular session for the official vote.
Okay.
That will take place. Once that happens, we'll be posting it likely the same week, so we can start soliciting applications, get our email blasts and everything like that to make sure that property owners and developers are aware that this program exists. And since this funding is provided by Community Legacy, the state money that we apply for, we go off of the timeline that was presented with that one, which, is this one correct? Sorry, I have to just refresh my memory.
That's okay.
Project must be completed no later than May 31st, 2026.
Okay.
So we have some time for this money to be spent and for us to get the awareness out there.
Awesome. If someone wants to get in touch with you in the meantime about either these programs, these items that we discussed, or anything else, give your contact information if you would.
Sure. So they can reach out to our Facebook page directly if that makes it easier for people. City of Hagerstown, Department of Community and Economic Development. They can reach out to my email directly, which is CSIEMERLING@hagerstownmd.org. And they can also reach out to our phone lines as well, whatever is most convenient for them.
Plenty of options.
Yes.
Lots of money out there right now. Now's the time to, get in on the ground floor of all this, get all of the details, and get ready to get your applications in. Chris, thank you very much for your time. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking to you in the future. And thanks to all of you for watching this evening. And for now, that's a wrap. That'll do it for this council wrap. I'll see you next time.